Okay, here we go. Excuse me.
Hey, can I help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you follow this gentleman right over that way, okay?
All right, hey everyone, we are back. All right, good to go, sir?
Yes.
I know you have, did you have slides you wanted me to put up?
Yes, I emailed them to you last night. Would have been about midnight.
Yeah, I don't see that here. I don't have your, go ahead and give us a little bit of a background. I know we're going to be seeing you again a few other times, so we're going to be talking Army PA as well. That's going to be at a later date, but go ahead and give us a little bit of a background, because I know your story is a little different than the people that we're looking for right now. So you started off enlisted, is that correct, sir?
Yes, that is correct. Joined the Army straight out of high school as a combat medic. At that time, the AOC or MOS, it was 91 Bravo combat medic before they switched to the 68 whiskey. But yeah, I've been in the military almost 26 years. I was enlisted for 15 years, made it to Sergeant First Class. And when I came back from Iraq, I wanted to become an officer. So talked to a healthcare recruiter like myself in Texas, and I was able to put a packet together and got selected by the Army board. So, and now I'm in the Medical Service Corps within the Army Medical Department.
Awesome. And so he's been promoted a lot more times than I have. Put that out there. All right. And sorry.
No,
I'm having to switch everything over from the government computer over to the personal one. And it'll be just 1 second. Oh, geez. That's big. All right. Let's go to slide. Not that type of slide. All right, there we go. Actually, that's not what we want. Right there, yep. Trauma surgeon. Yay. So again, welcome to the Army National Hiring Day Marathon live stream, day 1. So we already talked to Captain Dulworth about nursing and what it's like as far as being an Army nurse. And now we're going to kind of shift gears. And we also do have our medical corps, which, if you don't know what our medical corps is, that's going to be your MDs, DOs, and sir, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you. Do you have headphones you can put in?
All right, sure.
All right, I'll let him get that prepped really quick in case that kicks him off. But so Army medicine consists of multiple different corps, and we have our medical corps, which is your MDs, your DOs, pretty much all your doctors, your medical doctors. Then we have our dental corps. So those are all your dentists. And also we have our oromax surgeons. So we do have a subspecialty with there. We also have our veterinary corps. So everything non-human. And then we go into our specialty corps and our medical service corps. And those are kind of unique. I'm going to touch on them a little bit later because what they're going to be your STEM fields. That's going to be your scientists, your entomologists, your biochemists, any of those really unique subspecialties that we still need for the research side or whatnot. We also have physical therapists. We have like all sorts of different like little medical subspecialties. I'm going to cover those a little bit later. But today, right now, we're just going to focus on trauma surgeon. And if you're joining us, even though it's not trauma surgeon related, if you have any question as far as doctors in the Army Reserve, what they do, anything like that, go ahead and leave us a leave us a comment on any of the platforms that we're broadcasting to, and we'll try and get them answered as best as we can. And if we can't, I can actually reach out and pull in some subject matter experts that we might be able to get that question answered for you live on air. All right, sir, you better?
We'll see. So we'll see if this works better for you. Is this better?
Yep, much better. All right, so we're going to be covering the trauma surgeon. Like I said, Captain Perkins is from the Cincinnati Medical Recruiting Station. And sir, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thanks. Hello, everyone. As he mentioned, I'm Captain Perkins. I'm the officer in charge of the Cincinnati Army Medical Recruiting Station. My station, we cover Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, the Dayton area, and other surrounding cities around the Dayton area. So today we're going to be talking about the trauma surgeon, and these are basically the general surgeons who have training in trauma. And so I want to just discuss the active duty opportunities and the part-time opportunities in the Army Reserve. So these are some of the topics we will be discussing today. One of the main things is why the Army? Why should you consider the Army as a trauma surgeon? I believe the Army, we offer a lot of great opportunities. So hopefully after this, you'll be inclined to reach out to us and hear more. So just a quick fact about surgeries, about surgeons in the Army. So back in 1814, surgeons were tracking the patterns, weather patterns across the nation, and so that kind of led to the establishment of the U.S. Meteorological Service, which is what we use today. Our meteorologists are part of this organization. So surgeons are actually played a part in establishing that service. Just a quick little fact. All right, next. All right.
I kind of went over this. As far as breaking down the cores, AMED is one of the largest health systems in the world. And so we need a structure to keep people in certain areas. One thing I did want to mention, I know we have veterinary corps up here, and sorry not to cut you off, sir. If you take a look, I actually have a really cool and unique interview that I was able to do with a Colonel Black. And he's going to be on our YouTube, YouTube channel here, probably later on in the week, because I don't want to cut this off, but he is actually an Army researcher, but he is also a veterinarian, and he decided to choose that path because that's what interested him the most, is like the zoonotic diseases. So even if you're part of one specialty, so if you're part of the medical corps and you have a drive for research and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be sitting there treating patients the entire time. Like you said before, is that a group of Army surgeons was tracking the weather, and that evolved actually into NOAA. So National, was it Oceanographic and Atmospheric Association? Yeah. So there's a lot of things that get spun off from the Army that are not necessarily Army related, but it's just things that the Army has funded and said, hey, this is beneficial to everybody. So they've kind of spun those off. But hey, take a look at the links down below. Later on in the week, we're going to have Captain Black's interview up there, now that I finally got approval from the research institutes that they had to do all their pre-checks, make sure nothing was like secret or anything like that. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and also before we continue, I just wanted to wish the Medical Service Corps a happy birthday today. They were established June 30th, 1917, so they turned 103 years old today. So happy birthday to the Army Medical Service Corps. Yep,
and like I said before, Medical Service Corps, that's pretty much everybody else that's not a doctor, dentist, veterinarian, medical subspecialty. So physical therapist, occupational therapist, things like that, or a nurse. So that's kind of our catch-all for everything STEM and kind of medically related. So we'll be going into that later. But hey, thank you, sir. And he is also part of the medical service corps. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. So I definitely have to wish them a shout out. Happy birthday. So some of the, a lot of things, some of the things people don't know about the Army. So the Army is, we are recognized as one of the top 100 innovators when it comes to medicine. So we have a lot of great minds that are serving in the Army, active duty and the Army Reserves. Within the Army, you will have access to state-of-the-art equipment, equipment that will only help you enhance your skills and just make you a better surgeon. With the Army, we spend over $1 billion in annually in research and development. So research, looking for the new evidence-based product or service, we're leading. We're on the front lines leading in that area. This reminds me, Colonel Blue, our new commander that you talked about in your previous segment with Captain Dolworth. First time we met her, she mentioned that there was the CRNAs that were mobilized to go help out in New York with the COVID-19 response. So one of the CRNAs that's currently serving in the Army was doing a quick, doing a quick survey of the medical supplies that were available. Used some PVC pipe, adapters, and other equipment. His name is Major Timothy York. Him and two other CRNAs, they created a negative pressure hood to intubate patients. It's been shown that the highest risk of contracting COVID-19 is when the healthcare provider is doing an intubation. So they created this negative pressure hood that they're going to get patent, and it allows the CRNAs to intubate without a mask. I mean, I'm sure they'll still be wearing a mask when they do the intubation, but it allows them to do it. They don't have to be in a negative pressure isolation room. So that's just another example of how Army is leading the way when it comes to medical innovation. And
so the cool thing is you mentioned the negative pressure hood and having them wear masks and face shields. So the other thing, and we kind of touched on it a little bit before, was the joint en route critical care. Those negative pressure things, and it's in addition to whatever PPE they're going to be wearing, but you also have to think about this. A joint en route critical care nurse might need to intubate somebody in the back of an aircraft. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, it is very windy in the back of an aircraft. So they may have their own PPE on. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't do you any good. So having a negative pressure hood, not only can that affect in like an in-hospital situation as far as infectious disease, but think globally on this one. What did we have 3-4 years ago? We had the Ebola outbreak in like West Africa. Yeah. Now you're talking about you're able to intubate somebody without having a negative pressure room, just making sure that it's in addition to whatever PPE they're wearing, it's something else that can be used. And the thing is also, when it comes to Army inventions, it's not like the Army is going to patent this thing. There's no process that I even know of that the Army can patent something. What they'll do is they'll do the research, they'll test it, and then they'll broadly release it to the civilian market, being like, hey, this is what we found. Here's our peer-reviewed research. Do your thing. And we saw this come forth with most recent advancements in tourniquet use. So a little bit of a tangent that we can go on, but we got plenty of time today. So yeah. You were a 68 whiskey. Well, you were a combat medic long before I was. When did you come in, sir?
Oh, I signed my contract November 17th, 1994.
There you go. Jeez, 94. So when you came in, and I'm sure, like, going through that, what was if you had bleeding on somebody, what was you put the 2x2 on their arm. Yeah. You put pressure. You elevated it above the heart. Exactly. You put a pressure bandage. And then your last resort was a tourniquet. Yeah. So when I came in right during the surge, we still had very similar protocols because they teach us both the NREMT side, so your EMTs, and then they teach you the combat medic side. And when you get to the combat medic side, they say forget everything you know, because our first line is tourniquets. I mean, it was considered previously the second you put a tourniquet on, that person's losing that limb. I mean, when they go do knee surgery on somebody, they put a tourniquet on their leg just to reduce bleeding, and and they'll have it on there for hours. So they figured out that you can put a tourniquet on at point of injury, and you're going to save it. I want to say it's upwards of 90% of preventable causes of death for compressible hemorrhages. And so when we come across an injury like that, our first thought is, hey, let's go ahead and throw a tourniquet on this. Let's get this bleeding stopped. And so that's how it's changed from 94 to 2007. Now you look at after the shootings that happened in Las Vegas, we have the National Stop the Bleed event. So now it's going from being like a last resort type thing to a first resort for medical responders to being every civilian needs to know this. So that way it's widely put out because it is saving lives. And again, if you're just joining us, if you are interested in one of those Stop the Bleed events, reach out to us. Even if we're not local to you, we can put you in contact with somebody who is, because it's something that a lot of us have a passion for, just doing the teaching side. And we're not going to charge you to go through that class. We're going to do it for free. So, but that's a very good example of the research that we've done and just released it back out to the civilians and be like, hey, do what you do with this.
Exactly.
And another thing, you have experience with Colonel Johanningman, correct?
Yes, I got to know him during my time here at Army Recruiting. He's all about sharing the knowledge that he's learned with military medicine and definitely Army medicine. So yeah, I got to know him well before he moved to Texas. Yeah,
and one of the things, if you weren't here for the previous few hours, we talked about usage of whole blood, and that was like one of his pet projects for years. I won't say getting to using whole blood, but getting back to using whole blood, because we used to do it in Civil War, like going through World War I, World War II, Korea, everything like that. We were using whole blood. Then we kind of got away from it and found out that it wasn't going as well for us. And now we're going back to whole blood. And now it's because him down in San Antonio, he's getting to the point where pushing whole blood actually on paramedic rigs and getting back to that mentality of like that should be your number one and only protocol for hemorrhage. But sorry, little tangent on that one. But that is part of the whole like $1 billion in R&D. It's not just for Army use. It is truly giving back to the civilians and for not just civilians people, but civilian organizations. That way they don't need to do that research. We've done the research for them. All they need to be is like, hey, we need approval to do this. Here's all this research behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Dr. As we just mentioned about Dr. Johanningman, he's well respected in the Cincinnati area. I mean, he's just been a great ambassador for Army medicine in the Ohio area. So definitely miss having him around, but he's continuing to do great things in Texas. All right, so go ahead. I was gonna say, go ahead and talk about the job duty, since we we have surgeons. That's probably one of the main things they would like to know. Okay, why should I consider the Army? What would be my responsibilities? That's a common question I get when I'm meeting with potential applicants. Everyone has a story. Those who have never served, they hear about other individuals' Army stories. So this one, it led it to be known first and foremost. If you're a surgeon, we're bringing you in to be a surgeon. That's what we need you to do. We need you to save lives. We're not bringing you in to kick in doors and look for bad guys. No, we need you in. We need your expertise to help ensure our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers make it back home safely. So That's what we need you for. It reminds me of a story, and it's on our it's a YouTube video, and it's also on our Army Medicine app. It's a Colonel Scott Armin, Armen. It's a YouTube video. He's a trauma surgeon in the Army Reserve. So that means he works in, he's a surgeon in civilian practice, and he serves part-time in the Army Reserve. And he said one time he was traveling home for some training. Rarely, we typically don't travel in uniform. That day, something, I don't know, short on time, but he was on a plane in uniform. A guy next to him said, "Hey, thank you for your service." And as the flight took off, they got to talking. Comes to find out that Colonel Armin operated on that guy as a trauma surgeon overseas and saved his life. The guy eventually got out of the military, but was now in nursing school. He basically, the care that he received from Colonel Armin, the surgeon, it empowered him to go back and want to provide the same type of care to his comrades who are still serving. So that was a great story. I was definitely, touched by that story.
All right, so trauma surgeons, like you hit on, we look for trauma surgeons to be trauma surgeons.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. But the cool thing is with the way that especially in the Army Reserve, the way that we're set up, and Captain Dorth kind of touched on this, where you can actually volunteer for mobilizations and deployments. There's cross-leveling that can happen. So if you're a trauma surgeon and you have experience in thoracic surgery or vascular surgery, you can cross-level into those fields. And so even though it doesn't say trauma surgeon on it, if they're looking for a general surgeon, you can take that general surgeon spot very easily. And there's a whole breakdown of which jobs can go in which fields.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And that happens a lot. We have. I've been in reserve units where we've had surgeons that belong with other units or had other specialties, and yeah, they came with us to Iraq, or So we definitely, if you're a surgeon, we could definitely use your skills in other areas to to help out.
Yep. So going into kind of talking about the timeline. Is when we go through the initial entry training, and so you come in, you talk to us. Like we said, it's not a short process. It can take a few months, it can take 6 months, but once you're commissioned, you raise your right hand. Now what? So honestly, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that's a common question we get as well. Once you commission in the reserves, you don't leave right away. So what you do, you're going to receive your orders saying, "Hey, you are now assigned to this Army Reserve unit," and you go to the unit. You start your 1 weekend a month training. When you're in processing with that unit, your unit, they understand you are a new officer, so they know that you need to go to a course. There's actually 2 courses. The first course, as shown here, is called Direct Commission Course, DCC. So this is the officer version of basic training, but it's not, as rigorous as the basic training you go as an enlisted soldier. So there's no drill sergeants there. They're called cadre. So they're like your instructors, just guiding you along the way. And so they're basically teaching you the basic soldiering skills. The course is 3 weeks long for physicians. Everyone else is 4 weeks. So for physicians, dentists, and veterinarians, it's only 3 weeks. Everyone else is 4 weeks. And you're going to be in this course networking with other healthcare providers. Everyone in that course is going to be a healthcare provider. And so it's a way for you to build a network. I still communicate with physicians. I'm not a physician, but I still communicate with physicians I met with my initial officer training. I never would have guessed, not being a physician, that I have a plastic surgeon who used to be in the Army, or an anesthesiologist who's in the Army, or a retired orthopedic surgeon that I can still call friends and just reach out and just like, hey, how's life? How's things going? So that's one thing that I like about the initial officer training, just the camaraderie that you build with others in your specialty and other subspecialties. You'll go to DCC, as I
And hold on
mentioned.
one sec, sir. Hey, so you hit on it really well, and I know when I spoke on it a little bit before with Captain Dolworth, you may not trust what a recruiter is telling you, but like he said, you have those connections with people that have no connection to recruiting command whatsoever. They're a doctor, they're a surgeon, they're somebody else. So it's very easy for him to just shoot him a text. I'm sure you have them on Facebook, you have their phone numbers. You can be like, hey, I have this person who's interested in becoming this. Can you talk to them? And then that way they can, and we're more than happy to put connections together. So that way it's like, hey, tell them what your experience is like, good, bad, indifference, because we don't want anything to like sneak up on somebody. We'd much rather have them be completely honest and fully knowing what they're expecting coming in.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. And then the next course you go to is in BOLIC, Basic Officer Leadership course. Now, one thing about these courses, you do not go to these courses back to back. In the Army Reserve, they actually give you 3 years to complete both courses. So you have more than enough time to complete both courses. And it kind of, I like to share this information with the surgeons so to let them know, hey, if you're in private practice or you're part of a network, you can let them know you're not leaving right away. So you will still be around to, to treat patients. You're not leaving anytime soon. So you have 3 years to complete both courses. With the BOLIC course, that course has 2 phases. The first phase is strictly online. It's 80 hours. The Army gives you entire year to complete the online. It's more than enough time. You can actually complete the online portion in 2 weeks. If you actually had time to sit down and just knock it out, you can complete it in 2 weeks. But they will give you a year to complete it. And once you complete the online phase, then you will travel to San Antonio, where the Army Medical Department is headquartered, and you will complete the resident phase, which is 4 weeks long. So you have 3 years to complete both courses, which is more than enough time.
Sorry. There we go. Little touchy on that.
No problem. All right, next, we'll talk about the assignment opportunities. You and Captain Dolworth, talked about this for CRNAs and other nursing professionals. Similar with the medical corps as well. In the medical corps, you can be assigned to an Army field hospital. They have transitions. They used to be MASHs. They used to be general hospitals. Used to be recent combat support hospitals or CASHs, but now they're transitioning to field hospitals. And these are basically field hospitals it's making them more modular, where they can mobilize and set up quickly whenever their need are called upon. You also discussed the FRST, the Forward Resuscitative Surgical Team, and as you stated in your previous presentation with Captain Dolworth, the individuals assigned to this element, they're close to like the point of injury. So when someone is injured, they're taken and there needs surgical capabilities. They're taken to the FRST for surgery before they're moved, before they can get stabilized and moved up to a higher echelon of care. So surgeons are really intrigued by that. Emergency physicians, CRNAs, they're definitely intrigued by that opportunity. So they usually, this is usually one of the most sought out assignments. Then also, this is a common one, the IMA and the APMC. So these opportunities makes it flexible for physicians to complete their Army Reserve time. Typically in Army Reserve, you serve 1 week in the month and 2 weeks in the summer. So about 35, 40 days out of the year. But these two IMA, you are assigned to an Army active duty hospital treating patients. But the benefit of it is the flexibility. You report to that hospital commander on their Army installation, and you can work out a plan that will work for your job and your family life, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So physicians usually like that assignment, and APMC is the same as well. It's just instead of being assigned to an Army hospital, APMC works with you and your commander to allow you to complete your weekend training at a unit, at an Army Reserve unit closer to your home, or a civilian or VA hospital. So that gives you flexibility as well. All right, with active duty, some of the active
I was
duty.
going to say, hold on for 1 second, sir. So the FRST, that's the one that Captain Darwin and I were talking about. Like that, you will not find that in the U.S. That is completely unique to military service, and it is really going to take you to the absolute top of your skill set, because there is honestly nothing else like it. There's not going to be a chance to see that level of trauma in that rapid of a succession. And so it is a truly elite team that goes out and does it. So setting yourself apart from your peers, that is one of the absolute best ways to do it.
Exactly. It's definitely, I had buddies in the when I was enlisted that were medics and served on with FSTs, the old what it was previously called, and they said they enjoyed every minute of it. So it's definitely a great opportunity. All right. So with active duty, if you have any surgeons, those who are interested in active duty, one of the most common assignments or most sought after assignment is Walter Reed Medical Center, which is one of the well-known military treatment facilities. So this is in the DC area. And this hospital is known, there's some people from the White House, or they go here and receive treatment from military doctors. On an annual basis, Walter Reed, they see about 24,000 patients in a year, and they perform about 9,000 surgical procedures, including organ transplants, heart surgery. So there's a lot of surgical surgeries going on at Walter Reed. And also co-located on the Walter Reed campus is the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, and also the Walter Reed Institute of Research. For those that are interested in research, Walter Reed would be a great opportunity. I know you and Captain Dolworth talked about SAMC previously, the San Antonio Military Medical Center, which is also well known. It's a sprawling campus in San Antonio. I believe it's a 450 bed, over 1.5 million square feet, and it also houses the Intrepid Center of Excellence, which is a state-of-the-art rehabilitation center. So San Antonio is also a great opportunity, and they're well known for their Army burn unit. So great opportunity for both Walter Reed and San Antonio Medical Center.
And so the FRSTs, they're annotated for both the Army Reserve and also for active duty. So there is the opportunity for both of those fields in both types of units. So you can qualify depending on whether you want to make it a lifestyle, or if you just want to do it, hey, you know what, I'll do my 90 days, I'll go do the FRST stuff, and then come back and bring that skill set back to my own community. So it's we are very flexible when it comes to what's available for which field.
Yep, exactly. And you'll have reserve physicians that go and serve, that mobilize with active duty units. Although they're in their reserve asset, they do go and help the active duty. I don't know if it was mentioned previously, but the medical assets for the entire Army, which includes the active duty Army and Army Reserve, the majority of the medical assets, they reside in the Army Reserve. The Army Reserve provides somewhere between 70 to 75% of the medical assets in the entire Army. So the Army Reserve is definitely important to the Army overall mission.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that was, especially out of our area, sorry, I got some feedback. One of the things I did notice in with the Army Reserve, especially out of the Akron area, so we had several people that were ER docs that volunteered to actually go out to Boston during the COVID-19 outbreak, and they went out there, they were doing their thing, and there was one of our captains here was posting on Instagram just talking about her experience and stuff like that out there. I'm actually going to try and get her on at some point in the future. So if you jump on over to our YouTube, go ahead and hit the notification. So that way, whenever I am able to get her on, because she is an ER doc, a little hard to pin her down and actually talk to her, you'll get notified when that does happen. So I just want to let you know, like, that those opportunities are available as well.
Exactly. And then as we as shown here, other career positions in the Army Reserve and active duty. So in the Army Reserve and active duty, you have the opportunity to be a commander of an Army medical unit. We're all about leadership in the Army. We definitely want to groom you and to be a leader within the Army Medical Department. So we have plenty of physicians that serve as commanders in the Army Reserve and active duty. Another is you can be a consultant to the Army Surgeon General. So the consultants, they are involved a lot when it comes to looking for potential surgeons to join the Army. They're the ones who will review your CV and your qualifications when you decide that you want to apply for the Army, and they're providing their review on your credentials to just make sure everything looks good and you'll be a good fit. So we do look for surgeons. In the Army Reserve has their own consultant, and active duty has their consultant as well. So that would definitely be a great opportunity for those surgeons who are looking for a leadership position. For surgeons who want to go back and get another degree, the Army does for active duty. They do offer a master's degree. It's in collaboration with Baylor University. So they offer a master's degree in healthcare administration. It's a 2-year course, and it is a great course. This program is actually ranked number 9 in the entire country, and even ahead of some of Ivy League institutions that offers the same program. Typically, this program, this MHA program, is 2 years classroom, but the way the Army does it, they're all about hands-on training. You do 1 year in classroom, and 1 year you'll be shadowing your counterparts at some of the nation's leading hospitals. And also, you can be a residency director for those medical students who use the Army Medical School scholarships. They're going to be doing their residencies at a military training hospital. So on active duty, you have the opportunity to be the residency director for surgery.
Which a lot of people don't know. We own residency programs. We're going to hit on that a little bit. So the residency programs are they're special, and they're reserved for our HPSP students. So they are top ranked, and there's a very specific pathway to get into them. And that's actually in our next hour coming up. I actually have Staff Sergeant Beck who's going to come on. We're going to talk about HPSP and kind of what the pathway looks like for HPSP, what you can go into, and who qualifies for them. So just so you know, we do have residencies.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So next we'll talk about some of the benefits and entitlements. So with the Army Reserve and active duty, we do offer session bonuses for both. For the Army Reserve, we offer a $75,000 annual session bonus. You will receive that each year you continue to serve. In the active duty, we have what are called critical wartime shortage, a session bonus, and it's actually $400,000 for active duty, but it's over a 4-year period. And so it'd be $100,000 a year. And the reason they do that is for tax reasons. You're receiving a $400,000 bonus at once. I'm sure that will bump a surgeon up into another tax bracket and subject them to additional taxes and penalties. So that's why they break it up into a 4-year agreement. Next, we have the base pay, and then we have the board certification pay. For the Army Reserve, it's paid monthly for both Army Reserve and active duty. For the Army Reserve, it's $600 a month, and for active duty, it's $6,000 for the year. So you just divide the $6,000 by 12. And then we have the housing. Army Reserve, you do not move around. You stay in one location, so that's why there's no housing allowance. But with the active duty, as you mentioned, your presentation with Captain Dolwork, this is just the figure shown is just an estimate based on San Antonio area, but there are a lot of factors that influence your housing allowance. The main one is location. Typically, the locations in California or overseas, Hawaii, they're typically going to have a higher housing allowance, and possibly you're going to receive a cost of living allowance as well, or COLA. Another big thing I like to stress with potential applicants is the medical insurance. For active duty, the medical insurance is free. Just may be a cost for the dental is for your family members, but it's typically a low cost. For the Army Reserve, for entire family, doesn't matter if the family member has 2 members or it's 15 members. The entire monthly premium for the medical insurance is $228.27 for the entire family. And talking to other officers or military members who serve in the Army Reserve, they say this is great. This is definitely affordable. There's a CRNA who served in the Army Reserve in our area. He said it only cost him $20 to have his second child. So you can't beat that. And then if you're an individual with no family, the monthly premium is only $44.17. Then with the medical deductible, for the active duty, there's no medical deductible because the insurance is free. But for the Army Reserve, the entire medical deductible for the entire year for a family is $313. And it's not each member, that's for the entire family. So it's definitely a low cost, and it's $156 for an individual. So that is definitely great. So the 2 figures for the total, the 2 figures that are shown, the first figure to the left is shown if you come in if you came in the rank as a captain, which is the minimum rank you would come in as a physician, is captain. And the second figure shown is if you came in as a major. This will be discussed later on in other presentations, but your rank is determined by your advanced education and your years of experience. And so that determines your rank, which will also influence your pay, your entry pay coming in. Another great benefit for the military, for active duty or Army Reserve, we do pay back $250,000 in student loans towards any loans taken out towards your medical degree. So definitely great incentives.
The one thing I do want to say with this total right here, again, like I said with Captain Dorworth, this is in addition to your normal salary. So whatever you're making as a trauma surgeon on the outside, this is in addition to whatever you're making.
Exactly. And another thing I like to stress, it's an additional to, and as we mentioned earlier, in the Army Reserve, unless you're mobilized, you're only going 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year. So you're making this amount just for 35, 40 days out of the entire year. So that is definitely a great opportunity, and you're getting great training, and you're serving your local community and your country. So it doesn't get any better than that. Another thing I didn't mention on the benefits and entitlement, I know you touched briefly on mobilizations and deployment. The post 9/11 GI Bill, I like to make individuals aware of that. So as a physician, you deploy for a maximum of 90 days. Your orders may say 120 days, but 30 of those days is going to be your train up and your time of out processing when you return from that mobilization. So you actually want to spend 90 days at your mobilization site. And so if you're ever mobilized as a physician for 90 consecutive days, you become eligible for an educational benefit called the post 9/11 GI Bill. Everyone is mostly familiar with the original GI Bill, but this bill came about after 9/11. So with the post 9/11 GI Bill, I'm sure most surgeons are done with their education, so they can transfer that benefit to their spouse or kids to help offset some of the costs for their college education if they're ever mobilized for 90 consecutive days. So definitely a great benefit as well.
So, and that's one of the other awesome things. Like you said, most surgeons, unless they're going back for that master's in public health or something like that, they're done with school.
Yeah.
They've been in school for way too long.
Yeah.
Well, not too long. I want them to be the best they can, but they've been in school a long time. Those who don't know, surgical residencies, they start at 5 years and just go up. But as soon as you do that mobilization, you can transfer it to your kids. And this applies to everybody. So whether it's nurse, whether it's surgeon, whether like me as a medic, like I'm actually, I came in, I got a bachelor's degree. I'm using my tuition assistance to go get my master's right now. I'm not going back to school. So there's no reason I need my GI Bill. Well, I'm able to give that to my son. Now, granted, he's 4 years old right now, but he at least has his college paid for to include a living allowance and stuff like that. Or I can also not give it to him. Right? So there's that too. So I can change that at any time. But it's for anything. I can give it to my spouse. I can give it to my son. I can give it to any family member that is a dependent of mine. And it's going to be there whenever they're ready to use it. So even if my son decides like, hey, I'm going to take a few years off, and then later on in life, it's still there for him. So he has a full 4-year degree paid right there. So this also applies to all of our doctors. Like they can, if they do that mobilization, they can go ahead and give that over to their family and be done with it.
Yeah, definitely another great benefit for those who are answering the call to serve. All right, next, so let's talk about eligibility. So to apply for the Army Reserve, to join the Army Medical Corps, you must have a doctor of medicine or osteopathy degree from an accredited U.S. school. Now, for those who graduated from foreign medical school, you can just get your ECFMG certificate, and they will do a quick, evaluation, and so you are eligible to apply as well. Also, you must have completed at least 1 year of an approved graduate medical education internship. So that is a requirement. For trauma surgeons, you must have completed at least a 1 year critical care fellowship as well. And we prefer you be board certified, but at least board eligible. And for those ECFMG graduates, if you're not board certified, then you must have completed a residency within the U.S., and it must be an accredited residency as well. One thing with the age requirement, so we get sometimes some physicians, they feel, I'm too old to join. I'm not 47. Well, age waivers they are possible for physicians. There are stories out there. I know there's a physician in Houston who joined well over the age of 60, who joined the Army Reserve, and another in Wisconsin who joined also over the age of 60, who joined the Army Reserve. So for physicians, especially surgeons, we are willing to entertain age waivers. So if you're over the age of 58, there's definitely won't stop us from working with you to apply for the Army Reserve. So if you're interested, definitely reach out if you're interested in joining the Army Reserve. And also for active duty, you must be a U.S. citizen. For the Army Reserve, as long as you have permanent resident status, that will be fine, and that will allow you to be eligible to apply for the Army Reserve.
And the one thing I do want to say is, so even though we've had surgeons over the age of 60 joining, kind of the reason why they put the age limits in place is they want you to be able to complete a full 20 years before the Army will force you out, because there's only there is an age cap, and it's nothing that we manage. It is at a much higher level. But they just want to make sure that if you do want to be able to have a full career, you can. Surgeons that come in over the age of 60, they need to realize that they're not going to be able to do a full career. And that's kind of that little requirement that we would have for bringing people on board. But it's one of those things where if you think you're too old to do it, reach out. Talk to us, find out if that's truly the case, because there's so many doctors out there that's like, hey, like people talked to me when I was in med school and I kind of wanted to do it, but I was already accepted to this residency and I have family, my kids are out of the house, and I want to do something to give back. Like I want to do that. And they then they reach out, they're like, well, I think I'm too old. It's like, actually, no, you're not. Like, by all means, come in. Like, we'll submit your paperwork. We'll submit your packet. I mean, the most somebody can say is no, but you won't know if you didn't try.
Exactly. And then one thing also, a lot of times we're able to find out before they go through the entire process, we're able to find out to determine if the age waiver will be possible. So it's definitely, so it's not like they were invest all of this time building a packet, because it can be time consuming, and then find out they can't apply. We'll know well in advance, early on in the process, if they're able to apply. So it won't cost them anything. So it definitely won't hurt to reach out to an Army healthcare recruiter.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on. Nope.
All right. So since we're on the subject, it's definitely a great way on how to apply. As we mentioned, with the Army National Hiring Day going on, you can definitely use this information on this slide to reach out, or you can try, you can search like local Army healthcare recruiter, for those who are not located in Northern Kentucky or the Cincinnati or Dayton area, you can still find a local Army healthcare recruiter. Or you can go to goarmy.com and it'll find one for you. A lot of things what we ask for potential applicants to do when we set the appointment, we ask them this is a brief list of some of the documents. There's more documents that are involved with your packet, but this is just an ideal we want you to bring to the initial appointment. So for those who are thinking about reaching out and meeting with the recruiter, let's go ahead and start preparing this list of documents. Definitely it'll make the first appointment go by smoother and quicker, and get you down the right path. And once you complete the packet, part of the packet process is a medical physical. A common question I get is, well, how many push-ups, or what's the time I have for running? This is the different type of process, so you do not do that to join the Army Reserve. You do take a physical assessment test after your commission, but it's exactly what it's called, an assessment, just to see where you're at physically. So it's nothing like the physical fitness test that we take for those that are currently serving in the Army. And you must be able to pass a medical examination and the height and weight standard.
All right, so we just got a question. Phillips Kobe just asked about Space Force. So this is only for the Army right now. We still haven't even heard about what the requirements are going to be for the Space Force or whatnot. If anything, that is going to be kind of an Air Force question, because they're going to be the managing agency, similar to the way that the Navy and the Marine Corps work. So right now, there's only 3 medical sections as far as the Defense Health Agency. So you have Army, Air Force, and Navy Med. So that's where you kind of have it broken down. Sorry, don't really have an answer for you, but that's going to be something to stay tuned for and direct it to the appropriate agency.
Great. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, a lot of people are definitely interested in the Space Force and would like to hear more about that. But yeah, so as we mentioned, just want to thank if there's any surgeons who are able to take time out of their day and join us. Definitely thank you for your time. Hopefully this information was informative, and we definitely look forward to working with any surgeons. Also, please share this information. If you have surgeons, if you're mentoring any pre-med students or residents, definitely share this information with them. Have them reach out to us as well. There's going to be other presentations I know going on throughout the week where they're going to talk about programs for those currently in medical school and residency.
Yep. So I believe, yeah, that's it for you, sir. We have Sergeant Beck already queued up, so we're actually going to go into kind of backtrack a little. So we're going to go talking about HPSP. So everything we talked about right now, that's for people who are currently serving, currently practicing, or even residents. So if you're in surgical residency, absolutely reach out to us, and we have things that we have programs and we have ways to help you pay for your residency, at least put a little more money in your pocket and pay off some of those student loans a lot quicker than you'll be able to. So if you do have any questions, there's a few different places you can go. So you can take a look at the AMMZ right there. It's the same number to Go Army, or even down below. I have AGDQ. We just have them for different things. One is just showing that you got the link from us. You can also just give us a call. So Captain Perkins, what are your social media accounts?
Sure. Yeah. For Facebook, it's at Army Med Recruiting Cincinnati. Instagram is at Cincinnati Army Medical, and Twitter is at Army Cincinnati.
Okay, cool. Like I said, you can, obviously you're watching through the Columbus Company page, or you're looking through Akron. I think I got 3 people on the YouTube page. Shoot us a message if you want to get a link to Captain Perkins. So he's covers Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati region. But honestly, if you just either give me a text, shoot me an email, or send that code to the number below, we'll put you in contact with someone local. So that way you can deal with them face to face. You can actually interact with the person, because it truly is a relationship when going through this process. You want somebody that can swing by a doctor's office to grab your medical records if need be, or that way you can come into the office and actually hand them the piece of paper and do that handshake and get a good face-to-face with somebody. But yeah, any closing words, sir? I know we're going to see you back tomorrow and also Thursday. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave us a comment here, and we'll keep them reserved for him tomorrow, or if we can answer it, we'll go ahead and answer it right now. All right. Hey, thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Up next is Staff Sergeant Beck. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good. So, Sergeant Beck, where are you at right now?
I am in my office in Dearborn, Michigan.
So, unfortunately, back up to Michigan. Well, there goes the rest of the Ohio audience.
Right.
So, like we talked about with Captain Dulworth, he's up in Lansing. We got an office in Dearborn. We got an office in Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, Cincinnati, or wherever you're at. You can talk to us if you have any questions, or we can put you in contact with somebody local to you as well. So there's a whole wide variety of different ways that we can put you in contact with someone. So I kind of went through my background already, but before we get going, we're going to take a quick 3-minute break. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. See you guys in a few.